pronounced correctly. And Fahim and I have a little bit of histories. He is actually one of the volunteers for PMI Sydney chapter, and I'm very proud to say that, very happy to actually introduce you. Fahim is a PMP and a risk manager professional certified, and he has spent over 2 decades of successful delivery, stakeholder management, team management, and leadership experience at an international level. And he's not Brazilian like me, you can see that, although he has a beautiful tan. Proficiency at developing business processes and procedures and implementing of systems and technology to support it. Fahim has exceptional skills in building and managing stakeholder relationships and executing strategies that generate quantifiable results. So without any further ado, I would like to call Fahim to the stage.
Thanks, Julia, for the introduction. I'm not a Brazilian, but I am a very big fan of football, not soccer football. So, thank you, everyone. I think before I start my presentation, Paul said something, and I would like you guys to think about it before we go through it. The PMOs come in. That's very important for us, and we have to think as leaders of the project management office. What does that mean? Why is that the case? So, Julia touched on agility. I was lucky enough to present last week in Melbourne. I talked about how at MasterCard we took an approach of between waterfall and agile working business. So I represent a business PMO at the business program office, strategic program office at MasterCard regional program office. So just think about those things. I'm going to skip this because this is something that I put that in. But before I move on to the presentation, could I just have a show of hands? How many of you are really into project management PMO team? So when I say PMO team, let me qualify. PMO manager, PMO lead, or PMO analyst, PMO, not project manager, anyone who's really totally 100% dedicated. Show of hands, please. Okay. How many have you been there for more than 2 years? Same role, same company, same role. 3? There's a group, there's an organization called Projectize Group. They did a lot of research on PMO, and over a period of 10 years, they came up with a research that 52% of the PMOs are considered as unsuccessful by the stakeholders. It's a very staggering number. By the way, I'm not used to standing on podiums, so I hope it's okay if I walk on. It's always good to connect. And that's a very interesting research. I don't know how many of us know about it. There's a Canadian researcher by the name of Jack Dugall. He did some research and he came up with a very interesting research as well. Now, interestingly enough, the number of PMOs in the organization is on the increase. Now that's very strange. We are saying that PMOs are considered to be 50% unsuccessful, but the organization are on the rise. That's in 2013. 2018, and today, we have about 70% of the organization around the world have a PMO compared to 61% in 2006. Pretty high number. 85% of the organizations surveyed uses PMO to monitor project success metrics. They're looking at PMOs to get engaged. They're doing product management, transformation. Paul talked about how they are doing it. I heard Mark this morning as well. So there are a lot of engagement with the PMOs. However, the average lifespan of a PMO is 2 to 4 years. That's an extremely interesting research, and that's why I asked for the show of hands, that on an average, a PMO survives only for 2 to 4 years in its original form in an organization. Now, there are reasons for it. And one of the biggest reasons, which I think is we lack standard on our own. I don't believe there's a standard for a PMO's implementation. So if we do not have a standard as PMO, we cannot go about asking people to follow a standard which we are setting down. Try convincing a teenager boy doing something that you don't do yourself. Large majority of PMOs still struggle to sustain stakeholder satisfaction. That's the problem. That is a big problem. Do you guys have the same opinion? Do you guys think that this is a right statement, wrong statement? Please do ask me questions. I would like to have an interactive session rather than end of the session. Do you guys agree with that? Okay, good. Have you thought about it? Why is that? Now, the biggest problem is with this statement is that our stakeholders think that we are not providing the benefit that they have asked us to provide. That's a very strict. So you go to somebody, and we talked about, the gentleman asked about the sponsor question. Sponsors change over a period of 2 to 3 years. The research tells us, I keep referring to research because I'm a research candidate, a PhD candidate at the University of Sydney as well. The research tells us that PMO lifespan is directly linked to the sponsorship. So you have a sponsor, tomorrow the sponsors change, and the life of the PMO starts. That's where the problem is. Okay, why do stakeholders think? What are their concerns? They don't find clarity in terms of our roles and responsibility. A lot of people, if you go and go and talk to your stakeholders, they will think that you are providing just reports and status. That's what, for most of the people in the organization, that's what we are. Now, can I also have a show of hands? How many of you are from IT in this room? Okay. Small number. That's good. PMO was never meant to be for IT initially. Project management was started by the industries like construction and defense. That's what the PMI whole model is. Julia, am I right? I don't know. And that's where the whole thing is. But IT gave a lot of boost to it. The problem with this whole concept is that a lot of organizations perceive IT as a service. They see IT as a utility, and a lot of project managers in the market and the project management offices in the market are more IT based than the business side. I luckily represent the business PMO, and there's a reason for that why we set up. Okay, lack of right governance in the context of agility. We are not agile. PMOs are by default very waterfall. Try doing a program of works where you need something from finance or procurement. Try to see if you can be an agile. You just can't. It's just not possible. Procurement has a certain process. They will go through it. Finance has a certain process. Yes, agile may have a product delivery, but there's no point in doing an agile product delivery if you cannot align it with the strategic business objective. That's one of the problems. So stakeholders see us as not flexible enough. We are very rigid for most of them. Governance policemen, too much bureaucracy. Pretty much agree to that, right? So we come across as, I want you to do this, go and do this. You don't do this, these are the stats, and so on and so forth. No, it will annoy anyone. It will annoy. You try telling people, I want you to do this, without convincing them what's in it for them, you will never get it done. Management overhead, administrative entity. Okay. Show of hands, please. How many of you generate revenue for your organization as an entity? I'm not talking about the projects, but how many PMO services generate revenue? One? Anyone else? Guys, we are all sick. We are all going downhill. We don't generate revenue, we don't get dollars for the sponsors, they don't want us. That's the biggest problem that we have. We have to think very practically and I'm coming to the stakeholders. I'm just trying to explain to you how stakeholders think. They think dollars. Everything is dollar today. And if we cannot, as an entity, as a unit, cannot generate dollars for the organization, we are an overhead. Nobody wants us. Lack of benefit realization. What does that mean? Well, we are very good at managing projects, delivering projects on schedule, on budget, but does that give any strategic benefit to the organization? What's the point of having a product which does not give a strategic benefit? Somebody up there? Okay. There's a guy called Chuck Mahon. He wrote a book, and in that book, he's got this quote: organizations struggle to define the PMO role, its position within the organizational hierarchy. And he wrote this in 2009, by the way, so around 11 years. He was right. The problem with us is, within the PMO community, is if we are too high in the chain, we are considered as the governance policeman. If we are too low in the organizational hierarchy, nobody listens to us. If we are in the middle, we always struggle. Right? Okay. Okay. So what is Agile? We are trying to justify longevity continuously. We're continuously going to our stakeholders and say, guys, we are making a change, bringing a change for you. We are doing something that benefits you, and we are here to help you out. That's our continuous message that we keep giving, right? But sorry, I lost it. But we keep struggling to define our value. We keep struggling to define our value, what we bring to the organization. Like I said, if we cannot bring dollars to the organization, we are an entity which is a management order. The third biggest problem that we have, we go as a PMO, the first thing we start looking at is how we are going to set up the tools and templates and processes. We do not go and talk to the stakeholders, and when we come to what the stakeholders are, we just say, my PMO. So what's the PMO role? The PMO role is set up tools, process, and standardization. We standardize things across the organization. Have we all agree with that? PMOs are meant to standardize process tools? Yes, no? How many standard implementation of PMO you have done? I can bet none of us has done for a same implementation of the PMO. And that's where the problem is. We do want to standardize, but our stakeholders don't see us as standard. They see us as somewhere in the middle. We're trying to force something, but we ourselves. So that's the problem. I'm just trying to put ourselves into the mind of the stakeholders, how they perceive us as PMO. Okay, challenge. We started focusing on rolling on methodology, which is good. We need it, processes, but again, if that methodology and process does not align with the organizational goal and strategy, there's no point. Like I said, there's no point in building a product that does not generate revenue for the customer. Okay, PMO performing function that do not align with the expectation of the stakeholders. Pretty common. A lot of stakeholders, a lot of time, PMOs are set up just to generate reports. We call it a PMO function, but what we are expecting from that team is to give us the status reporting. Right. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going by research. I'm just trying to see if everybody's with me. We have to do a self-assessment. Are the functions and services that my PMO is providing, is it truly generating revenue for the stakeholders? We have, as a PMO, we have to look at this on a quarterly basis. And if at any moment you think, no, that's not the case, believe me, time for change. Otherwise, it's going to change. Paul said 2 to 3 years. Statistics says 2 to 4 years. PMOs are not surviving more than 4 years, although the organizations want project management function. So I think there's inherently some disconnect somewhere. So let's see what it is. Stakeholders. Who are our stakeholders? Sponsors. We talked about sponsors. How we engage with the sponsors. So our normal way of engaging with the sponsors is, Mr. Sponsor, I'm going to get you some benefit. Here's my charter, sign on the charter, right? How many times we go and refer back to the charter? They are the people who want the PMO. Remember, sponsors could be our executive board, and they control the funds. They control our survival in that organization. So they are the most important stakeholder that we have. So I'm going to group stakeholders into three groups. I'm going to go through it. So this is the number one, right? And they are investing in us because they expect us to help them generate the revenue. If I'm a sponsor, if I want something, mind spending on something, I want you to give me a return. I don't want you to be there just generating reports for me. So I want more than just the reports. Good luck if you have more than one sponsor. How many of you have more than one sponsor? What happens? I want something, you want something, PMOs are sandwiched in between. It just does not happen. It's a recipe for disaster if you have more than one sponsor. You can have more than one sponsor for a project, yeah, I understand that. But for a PMO to survive on a longer basis, you just cannot have more than one sponsor. Start looking for a job if you have more than one sponsor in your organization. Believe me. This is experience. I'm telling you from experience. 27 years experience, guys. Project program managers. Now, whether you have these guys reporting into you or they are part of the overall general metrics organization, they are very key stakeholders because they promote PMO. They can make people engage or disengage with the PMO. They have the power to do that. Because if they are not able to use the approach or methodology, whatever you want to call it, in the right way, organization will not benefit from it, and nobody's going to blame project managers. Everybody's going to come back and say PMO is not agile enough, PMO is not flexible enough, and so on and so forth. So they are the key ones. They look up to us for PMO, look up to PMO for guidance and direction, but like I said, they are basically the spokesperson for the PMO. That's how it works. They expect an efficient and effective governance framework. Now, I have come from a project management background, so I know how that is. I want to deliver my project. Last thing I want is stuck in a governance process, doing report for the sake of doing reporting while I could do much better things. How many times we run into these problems? Clients, internal and external. My end user wants me to provide the end deliverables that they want. They don't care how I do it. They don't care how much I spend. They have enough. They have given me the funding. Now they want us to give us the deliverable. If the deliverable is not there, then we have a problem. They expect quality delivery. And quality delivery does not mean that we have delivered the product on time. It also means it has given the benefit that they are looking from that product. Now, can you guys just have a look at this? The 3 points. Can you see some? There's something that I'm trying to highlight here in terms of the sponsors. So let me give you. People who want PMO, those are the sponsors. Project program managers are people who look up to PMO for guidance, and clients are the people who rely on PMO to provide guidance. The common theme is people. People, right? Projects are delivered by people for the people. PMO is for the people, not for the process. That's the theme I want to convey this message. The moment PMOs start thinking from the stakeholder point of view and stop relying on process as a survival, we will win this war of survival in the organization. Remember, projects are delivered by the people, for the people, and we're dealing with people on an ongoing basis. Any questions, guys? Okay. Okay, so how do we do that? Let's look into the things that I have tried it over a period of time. It's not a recipe for success. It's something that I've tried it. Sometimes I succeeded, and sometimes I failed, simply because not every strategy is possible in all the organizational environment. And my background is mostly in private multinational organization. I had a very limited background working experience with the public sector, so apologies for the guys, so I'm not really sure, but I do think that some of the strategies, some major basic common themes that you can use it. My only experience with public sector is HU. I did about 1.5 years when I was part of HP team. So anyway, perform thorough need analysis of each stakeholder. You need to, so there are 3 stakeholders group that I created, so sponsors, program project managers, and the client. You as a PMO lead needs to do a thorough need analysis of it. And when I say thorough need analysis, what that each group wants, what is their expectation from the PMO, what is their, ideally I have realized that a 3 to rolling wave, I'm sure everybody's familiar, 3 to 6 month rolling wave plan works out a lot of miracles for me. Did a lot of miracles for me in the sense that you know what you want to achieve for each stakeholder for the first 3 months, and then every month you review it, and then you have a look at the next 3 months. It's called rolling wave 3 months plan. That's really good. So you do have to look into that. We need to make sure that each stakeholder requirements are unambiguous, and it is very important. And this is before you start writing your charter, because charter, and again this is maybe outside the norm. Because what does charter do is, I'm happy to share some examples of the charter. What we use charter is, if we do, I don't think everybody uses it, is it should call out the objectives, it should call out the stakeholders that we're dealing with. If our stakeholders and objectives do not align, then we have a problem. Okay, align stakeholders' expectation on project program delivery. We need to tell them exactly each group of stakeholders what they will get from our delivery. Sponsors, you're going to get reports and status report and steer pro, whatever. fine, this is what we are expecting. The deliverables will change, but the strategy should not change for each stakeholder. That's the key message. Formalize executive sponsorship. Now that's a very tricky one. As I mentioned, the moment that we lose the sponsorship, as we lose the sponsors change organizations, we lose the sponsorship. There has to be a way of continuing with the executive sponsorship that we have. So, and I'm just putting it on the table. I think we, as the PMO leaders, have to find a way to come up with an approach that keeps the sponsorship alive after the change of the sponsor. I don't know if you can do it in defense, but that's something. One thing that I found very useful in my steerco is that whenever I would send an executive sponsor pack, we used to have, I've got a monthly steerco with my regional sponsor team, is that I would always have PMO charter as the last slide in the deck. I've got a one-page charter. I'm happy to share with people. And I never go through that charter. I don't go through that charter as part of the deck, but I have it as part of the slide deck as the last slide, as a reference slide. Because when execs are going through the slide, they're browsing through the slide, I'm hoping that somebody would look at it on a regular basis. Okay, yeah, that's the objective. That's what this PMO is set for. Because what we do is we do not publicize our charter, we do not share our charter, or if we do it, we only do it once, and then it is just forgotten. Define and publish PMO roles and responsibility. The most important thing in a stakeholder management is that they understand what PMO is going to deliver to each group. The misalignment between the roles and responsibility and customer stakeholder is the #1 cause of problem between the PMO and the stakeholders. Public organizational chart showing PMO position and hierarchy. Now, this is a double-edged sword. I have to warn you about it. This will work wonders if you are high up in the hierarchy. This will do you no favor if you are low in the hierarchy. Basically, I would suggest do it only if you are high up, or say mid-senior level, so that you can use that influence. If you're low, believe me, you're going to lose everything. So, any questions, by the way? Am I right? Seems like I'm.
How do you move up?
I'm happy to share that with them. Yes, you can. You absolutely can. You absolutely can. You show the dollars, you will move up. Okay. Perform stakeholder analysis. Pretty straightforward. I try not to do depth presentations. So stakeholder. How much? Okay, I'm almost done. Do a perform of stakeholder analysis. And when I say stakeholder analysis, I don't want you to guys go and send surveys out. Go and meet the people. More physically meet the people. Meet your stakeholders. And when I say stakeholders, I mean sponsors. Go and find time to meet them. Formally, informally, your project program managers. A lot of time what PMOs do is we run into a situation where we have a lot of things going on. We don't have time for project and program managers. And like I said, they are our key voice of the PMO. If you have a good relationship with our delivery team, whether they report into us or not, we're going to win the battle. So do that. Identify strategic key stakeholders. I'm going to show you something called Power in Trust Grid. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with. I have found that extremely useful. That's for me as a PMO manager, not for the general public, but I'll share something with you. Identify how each of them will affect or may affect your project. It's very key. Create a stakeholder map. Have you guys ever created a stakeholder map? Okay, I'll show you. I've got an example. I'll quickly show you. Classify them for the approach strategy. You cannot have the same approach for the sponsor as for your PM or as for your client. So you have to have a strategy as a PMO leader for how you're going to approach each stakeholder. Your sponsors require dedicated focus, your commitment that you're going to spend time, go through the things that is in trust with the sponsor. If he or she is not happy, you will start to feel the pain. Assess their participation to enhance support. Pretty straightforward. I think I've gone through this. The paradox of the situation. That's where we live in. We do not have clearly defined process, and because of that, we run into these standardization problems. Okay, that's a power in trust grid. Has everybody seen that before? What it does is, on the left side, we've got a power. I don't know if it's a pointer. And then there's a low. So what you do is you make a list of your stakeholders and you try to put them where each of them will fit, right? So the first quadrant Q1 is high power, high, low interest, and I just want to show you, I think it's pretty straightforward, but I'll just tell you what you kind of think that you can do for the stakeholders in each quadrant. For number one, so high power, low interest, these are the people who may not be interested in your project, but they have the high power. So if you get them interested in your project, then it is beneficial for you. So the goal of this whole thing is that you want everybody in high power, high interest, which will never happen, but that's our goal. So you would like everybody to move into high power, high interest. Right? Communicate less frequently, provide summary level information. So when I say communicate less frequently, it does not mean that you don't communicate after 6 months. It's just that you don't have to send them on a daily report. You don't have to send them weekly status reports and so on. Send them the information because they're probably your execs. You send them the information that will help them understand your value, the PMO. When I say your PMO, give them personal attention. Say thank you to them when they help you out. Works wonders. Believe it, works wonders. High power, high interest. This is where we want most of the people to be. But unfortunately, that's not the case. And if you have 2 sponsors, it is absolutely, it would be a miracle if you can get these both sponsors in the same place. It's just not possible. You do need to, these are the guys who believe in you. These are the guys who believe in what we are doing. So they probably don't need much, but you want to make sure that they stay engaged. Low power, low interest. They're there, they have nothing to gain, probably, they don't really care what we do. Don't bother too much about them. If you don't need them, they're not the user, they're not going to help you, so you don't want to get into it. Okay. And the last one is is low power, high interest. They have an interest, but they don't have power. These are the guys who can go up. Right? If given the opportunity, if you have it, they might be able to help you support the project. To be effective and successful, PMO must refresh its approach to respond to perception of overhead and bureaucracy and achieve stakeholder satisfaction. Beyond scope, respond to perception, and that's where the key is. It's a perception. We know we are doing a good job. We can do a good job. We need to rise above that perception, clarify that perception, help our stakeholders. I'm going to take 2 minutes. 3 rights. Communicate. Right type of message. Please communicate the right type of message with the reliable data and the timely data. Don't send status report just for the sake of sending status report. It doesn't help anyone. Nobody reads it. I've seen project managers send status report on 25 people, and every time I get a call from exec, oh, what's the status of this project? And I say, oh, you didn't get the status report. Oh, I don't have time to read the status report. It's a pretty common. Because I would not read 20 project status report. I want a reliable data, 1-page data, something that you can. So if you can have a 1-pager for your sponsors, please try to do that. Communicate the right amount of message. Don't overload mailboxes, guys. Please. That's one of the biggest problems with PMOs is we overload people's mailboxes with our process information, template information. You do that, we lose our own credibility because then we become nothing but a team that keeps communicating. Avoid reporting for the sake, communicate to the right stakeholders. Don't send your reports to everyone in the organization. Look at your stakeholder map, send it to the right people at the right time. Target selective audience, don't go overboard. Avoid distribution list as much as possible. There's nothing sweeter to people than the voice of their name. This is a very common saying. I see there's nothing sweeter to people than to see their name in the 2. Not CC in the 2 list. They said, works wonders. Try that. People would like to be recognized. You put them in the distribution list, they're no one. Nobody cares. Okay, build partnership. Enhance trust and reliability among the stakeholders through regular and open communication. Okay, do not tell, suggest, recommend. That's important. Stop telling people. Nobody wants to follow your process unless you believe in it. Foster the collaboration and engagement between the PMO and stakeholders through regular and informal. That's what I'm saying. Go and talk to them, go and meet people, say hello to them on a regular basis. A lot of time PMO leaders, especially PMO leaders, get bogged down in their own work. They don't go out. I was in a meeting about a couple of months back with a client, we were successful to deliver the project, and I had never met that client. And I was there, and he said, "Oh, who are you?" Imagine how embarrassing it was for me in front of a lot of stakeholders, senior exec. I said, "Well, you know what? That's my team leader." "Oh, I know the project manager." "Yeah, I know he was John." But it was very embarrassing. So, okay, listen, learn, and adapt. Listen, learn, and adapt. Don't be rigid. Don't be flexible. Find a way to be flexible with the organization. With flexibility comes the credibility. With the credibility comes the success. With the success, you go on. I have this thing what you asked. Without that, it's not going to work. You keep pushing people. You can come as a PMO director. I'm a regional director, seriously. But it won't happen. I know I have to convince people to what I'm doing. Otherwise, it doesn't work. I'm done, but I thought I'll share something. This is a PMO Stakeholder Relationship Map. You can use it. I plagiarized it from another organization that they gave me. Just some ideas there. I have to send this out. I can't send the presentation, but I have to send this out. Questions?
Excellent. Thank you. We have Fahim. Say the name sweet. Does that sound sweet?
Absolutely.
Do I have any questions? I have one for you.
Oh, come on.
No, please. I'm going to do a Jerry Maguire on you.
Okay.
How do you show the money? That lady wanted to say, how do you show me the money?
Absolutely.
How do you show the money?
You show the money, but this is a model that I came across, and I'm doing a bit of research on it. PMO as a service concept. So you have to sell it to your sponsor. So instead of just saying we deliver the project, build the methodology, offer your PMO services to the business, critical projects, help out critical project, let's say, provide risk management assurance services that you can maybe charge back to the organization within the department, but that is generating revenue. So the concept of PMO services is coming up very big. That's something, I think that's one way of doing it. Some organizations are doing it. I don't know how successful it is, but it's definitely. There's a Brazilian guy, Pinto, Americo Pinto, very good friend of mine. He's got this model called PMO Global, and they are doing this a lot. That's something that's really, really
excellent. Okay, thank you guys. I would like to actually give a round of applause.